healthy babes, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Diana from Diana's For Reasons. Today I am starting my women wellness series in which I talk about different problems that we face as women, as wives, and as moms, and just to give you guys a little bit of advice, encouragement, talk about the difficult stuff that no one wants to talk about, and hopefully just provide you guys with some support. But today I wanted to talk about my postpartum depression story, and writing a blog wouldn't do it any justice, and I wanted to be able to really go into detail and really just help other people who may be suffering know that they're not alone, and kind of talk about some of the ways in which I was able to get through it. So if you are interested in any of these topics, please feel free to subscribe. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it, comment down below. If you have any questions or you just need someone to talk to, you can always contact me. I'll link all of my social media accounts down in the description box. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so I had my third baby on March 17th, 2017. Sorry if you guys hear noise in the background. I am over telling the children to be quiet because they have to be quiet while I work all day. But anyway, and the pregnancy was kind of different. It was definitely a lot of sickness, a lot of pain, but the delivery was fine. The recovery was fine. The breastfeeding went exceptionally well. And I think it was about maybe when she was around 6 weeks, that's when I kind of started to feel like I was trying to detach myself from her, because I knew that I would have to be returning to work soon. I had originally planned to stay out of work for 12 weeks, but things were just getting tighter financially, and my job only paid me for so long after being out of work. So I don't know if maybe around then I started just feeling detached. When she got to be about 8 weeks is when I started really feeling like, okay, there's something different going on. I didn't want to be around her, but I didn't want anybody else taking care of her, if that makes sense. So there would be times when I just couldn't look at her, like I didn't want to, but it would be like split seconds that I didn't want to, and then I would just beat myself up for it. I mean, everybody deserves a break, and I think those were just moments where I needed a break, but I didn't want anybody else to do anything. So this is me going from having only 2 children who were very independent, very easy babies, and my husband worked nights for so long. It was just me and those 2, my son and my daughter, and I felt like I had everything under control, and I think I felt like I was supposed to still have everything under control going from 2 to 3, but in reality I did need more help from my husband, and I didn't know how to communicate that. And I think that my husband saw that something was up with me, and but when I would tell him how I was feeling, it's like it would just come back as though it was my fault. Like if I would bring it up to almost anybody, it felt like as if it was something that people just like, well, you should do this and you should do that. And that's just not what I needed to hear, nor what I wanted to hear. And I think I began to feel resentment. I began to feel alone. I ended up going back to work and then never wanting to be there, never wanting to be away from my baby. And I don't know if I kind of got a codependency around her, but I ended up just furloughing from work again. And once I furloughed from work, I was able to pick up unemployment. So I felt a little bit better, but it was definitely a very rough time financially, a very rough time with just feeling like everything was my fault. The financial issues were my fault. The me not having that control over my children was my fault. The me not, just everything that was going wrong, I just severely blamed myself. I remember calling people that I thought were close to me and just explaining it to them, and me just feeling worse. I remember people telling me that, you know, maybe you need to get a break, maybe you need to give your baby to somebody, maybe you need to stop breastfeeding. But all of those things is what I wanted to do, and I wanted to be okay and have the freedom to be able to do so. So it was a lot of resentment, but it was at that point that I was just not coming out of it. I think when she was probably around 6 or 7 months, and I was still feeling really crappy and really emotional, just losing friendships, just, oh, it was just a horrible time. And to where I just felt alone. So I think it was around that time when I realized I needed to find some help. But of course, in order to get help, to me, I'm like, it takes money, it takes time, it takes effort. I didn't have anybody to volunteer to do the leg work. I didn't have anybody to say, hey, let me come over, let me sit down with you. I mean, I may have had people, I mean, I guess I wasn't asking either, but when you're going through something like that, you don't really, it's hard for you to know what you want. It's hard for you to know what you need. It's definitely hard to reach out for help. And me reaching out for help is me saying, hey, I'm feeling this. You know what I'm saying? So I'll get to that later. But on back to my story, but I'll get to that later, on how I feel like people can better help when they have friends or loved ones that are going through are dealing with postpartum depression. I reached out to my doctor office, and I remember telling them how I was feeling, and they were like, okay, let me transfer you over to mental health. And then I talked to someone in mental health, and they was like, all right, we're gonna make you an appointment. And they told me that the appointment was like 90 days out. And I was like, are you serious? So then I reached back out to the doctor, and she was saying, hey, I'm gonna try to get you an earlier appointment, do this, do that. But at that point, I didn't even want to do it. I was just like, forget it, this is too much, help is never gonna come. I'm not getting help from my friends, I'm not getting help from my husband, I'm not getting help from my mom, I'm not getting help from the doctor. Like, what am I gonna do? And I think that was a point to where I was like, all right, I'm gonna reach out to someone else. So I reached out to this lovely woman. She's definitely my friend, like my big sister now. Her name is Armitria. I kind of reached out to her. I reached out to another friend that I met in a breastfeeding group. And both of them are very spiritual. And Armitria, I started doing some metaphysical work with her, just kind of going through some deep healing. Oh my gosh, she was so very helpful. She was definitely able to validate a lot of my feelings. And I began to just realize that I was blocking my own healing. I was blocking my own self from getting the help that I needed. And I also, it's at some place that it clicked that no one else could help me get through this, that I had to really, and of course God, and I don't leave God out because I do feel like he was a part of my journey and giving me the strength, but I don't feel like I had the strength to pray for myself. So I would like to think that there were people that were praying for me. Definitely once I began to invite people in, I definitely feel like people began to pray for me. I definitely feel like I shut a lot of people out at the same time. And a lot of people couldn't understand that, and that was fine because I was going through something. And if they wanted to make it personal, then they not really somebody that I need in my life anyway. So I began to just journal. I began to really write down my feelings. I began to really think about how I want my life to be, how I want to feel. And I had to let go a lot of control and allow people to help. I had to pray to God that I could find people that I can trust to give me a break. So I began to kind of feel better. Around that time is when I got the courage to go ahead and apply for my disability through the VA because I am a disabled veteran. But I went through some traumatic things in the military, and I kind of tried to put them behind me. And at this time, I just knew that I had to go and seek help and seek free help. So I ended up finally getting counseling through the VA, and it definitely helped a lot. But I feel like, most of the therapists are just there to really help you cope and give you coping mechanisms, which a lot of it worked, but a lot of things I felt like I had to figure out on my own, through my own research, through other people. Like I said, Armitia is always sharing really positive and encouraging things on her Facebook. I'm going to link her down below as well, and another person. And I kind of started to look into my birth chart and just figure out what motivates me. It just took time to really learn myself, even until this year. So to move on, when Loya was 11 to almost 12 months old, I found out that I was pregnant with my fourth baby. And of course, I was not completely done with my depression. So I cried. I was hurt. I definitely didn't want to continue my pregnancy. I definitely was, again, harsh on myself. So a lot of times when people are depressed, they can be very harsh with themselves and kind of just blame themselves. And it takes a really, really long time to get over things that the average person would probably be over at least the next day or even within a couple of hours. And so that's how I knew that I was still really depressed and still really going through things. And the rest, most of my pregnancy was really a blur. Like, I tried to just move forward, but it was just a really blurry time. And if you talk to anybody that experiences depression, it's like a mind fog. It's like you're just going through day by day, not really feeling any joy, not really feeling any excitement, not really connecting with people. You're just not really there. Mentally, you're not there. So when I was about 6 months pregnant is when I feel like I began to transition. I began to go through a healing, and it hurt. The healing process was really, really hurtful. I'm gonna get through this video without crying. Because in order for you to heal, everything has to surface. And even though I was going through postpartum depression, I wasn't just healing from that. I was healing from everything, every trauma. I remember sitting down and just talking to God and just being like, okay, I'm serious. I don't want to feel this way ever again. I don't want to feel this low ever again. And I want to come up out of this. And that's when I feel like it's like a revelation. It's like everything that has ever bothered me, everything that has ever hurt me just came up. I realized a lot of stuff about people. Oh my God, I was in arguments with my parents all the time. I was in arguments with my family. I could not stand anybody. I just felt so much hurt during this time. But as I was hurting, I was learning more about myself. I was learning a lot about my flaws. I was learning a lot about my strengths. And I was in this transition. And that's why I really started looking into my birth chart. And that kind of helped me figure out what I was transitioning into. And throughout the transition, you're sick, you're depressed, you're hurt, like a lot of tears, a lot of crying, a lot of confusion. But at the same time, I felt like I was breaking free because I was dealing with emotions. I was dealing with a lot of passive aggressiveness, a lot of letting people run over. There's just a lot of things I was dealing with, and being honest with myself about what was going on with me. And being honest, like, hey, you're depressed. Like, no, I'm not crazy. No, I'm not. No, I'm not crazy. No, I'm not, a bad person, but I'm depressed. And when I started to acknowledge it, and I started to acknowledge every feeling, even though I knew it was going to hurt, then that's when I felt like I started to heal. I remember saying, you know what, I'm going to do a photo shoot, and it's just going to be about me. And I wanted to do it in water because I just wanted to signify kind of a rebirth into this new person, into this new me, into this new wife, into this new mother that I wanted to be. And this was in 2018. About, I want to say August, September-ish. I got a friend that did it for me. And I did it by myself. I didn't do a family maternity shoot because this was all about me. This is all about honoring the birthing process, honoring my body, realizing the blessing that it is to be a mother, to have a fourth child. A lot of people can't have one child. Realizing just how amazing my body was. My pregnancy with Lyric was just beautiful, like complication free. Just the birth, oh my God, her birth. And I just stepped into this positive place of just vibrating on a different level. Like, I'm humble. I'm not arguing with anybody. You know, nobody's gonna steal this peace and this joy that I've begged God for months. And nobody could give that to me. Nobody can make me happy. Nobody could bring me the joy. Nobody could bring me out of this deep, dark place that I was in. And nobody will ever be able to take me back to that place. And that's kind of just how I feel. I had the perfect birth. It was natural. And if I tell you it was painless, you wouldn't believe me. But it hurt, but it was hurting with a purpose. It was almost like I enjoyed the beauty of the labor, and the whole process was just amazing. And of course I had minor things like my baby being there with me initially that kind of made me want to start looking at things negative. But you know, I had definitely had a support system with my doula and my beautiful mom group that kind of just says, you know what, this is what it is, but we're going to make the best out of it, and I'm going to be okay. And I had a beautiful delivery and a easy, beautiful recovery. And of course, after that, after having Lyric, I had a little bit of anxiety surrounding it, but you know, I'll save that for part 2. But I did have a little bit of anxiety about going into postpartum depression again. But I am here to tell you that I did not slip back into postpartum depression. Did I battle? Yes, I battled with thoughts, but I did not slip into a depression. I did not allow myself, and I feel like I'm better equipped to deal with it. So that is why I wanted to start this wellness women wellness series on YouTube, because I feel like I am better equipped with the tools to kind of help people that are going through it, and definitely help people just begin to evolve. And that is what, you know, my blog is about, my platform is about, and my brand is about, is helping women bring out the super within them, because there's a super within all of us. And just learning to affirm and manifest the things that we want in life, and learning how to depend on ourselves for our own happiness. So that's kind of my story. So if you like this video, again, make sure you like it. I am going to have a part 2 in which I talk more about the steps that I took to get through it. But before I go, I did want to make sure that I am letting whoever that is watching this know that you are normal, you are enough. Please reach out for help. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist. I definitely cannot take the place of a licensed therapist. So if you are having suicidal thoughts or homicidal thoughts or just really dark thoughts, definitely reach out for help. If you don't have the strength to reach out for help, if you don't have the strength to reach out for help, inbox me, comment below. I'm gonna link my social media. Reach out to me, and I have no problem searching for the help wherever you are and wherever you live, because I know that is one of the hardest things to do, is to do the legwork. So I am here to do the legwork for you, and I am here to help you on this journey, and hopefully you guys stick around, because there will be more. So thanks for watching. Again, make sure you subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and until next time, stay healthy.